Tuesday morning, and welcome to this week's From Boxes to Butterflies. This is going to be a lovely conversation as we talk about empowering women and a whole variety of whatever ends up coming with it. This is what I love about these shows, because you never quite know what we're going to talk about until we've gotten through it. But to start with, as I always do, check in on those around you. You know people who have gone through something, whether it was last week, last month, last year. It could be health, it could be work issues, it could be family issues. You know when something happened, you know when they were down, when they were having difficulties, and now you see that they're smiling all the time. Check in on them anyway, because that doesn't guarantee that they're doing fine. And was it, I think Agape said, it was like, if somebody tells you fine, don't take it, because that's feelings inward, not expressed. I think that was the way she termed it for me, and I love that way of looking at it. If somebody says fine, it's just a catch-all. It's just what we say to move on to the next thing. So check in with those around you and make sure they're more than fine. Then we have, for sponsors, my dear sister, Dr. Constance Leland, Level Up Academy. I can go on and on about her forever, I feel like, because she is there lifting women up, lifting everybody up. How to get you beyond where you're at, to get you to the next level. She has education. She has press releases, and she can get you into any industry. Look at all those industries. Look at all those places that she's at. Podcast, TV show, radio, live stream. Scan the QR code. Check in with her. She has this variety. And the thing is, she's not going to just say, she's not the type that's going to take your money, give you a press release, and let it go. She's going to make sure that whatever it is that you are getting ready to announce, because you've got a book, you've got a new product coming out, whatever it is that you're trying to promote, she's going to make sure that you're ready for that press release to come out, so that you're not going out there and not ready, that your information isn't totally complete. This is where my sister's at. She cares to make sure that when she puts it out there for you, it's ready to go out there. Then we have the Hounds of Business and Mike Ashebrainer, leader of the pack. Collaboration over competition. And it's something in this world too often. We're taught to compete. Everybody is competition. You see somebody else who's doing something, and you're like, oh, they're doing the same thing as me. They're competition. But they're not. There's 8 billion people in this world. Who you resonate will be different than who they resonate with. And what happens if you decide to collaborate on a project? You learn from each other. The anxiety goes down, actually, because you're not doing everything by yourself. And then, besides the fact that you're learning from each other, you're getting into more markets, more people. And I've seen this. I've watched people who you sit back and go, but they're doing the same thing. Yet they come together, they collaborate. And by the time they're done, they have created amazing opportunities for other people. So collaboration over competition, the Hounds of Business, check them out, because that's what they're looking at. They're looking at how to work together, not how to keep people apart. And if you're in the only want to compete, that may not be the place for you. But if you want to learn how to collaborate, this is the place to go and check out Mike Ashabrainer. And then I have C&M Consulting, or CMC. It's another one of my dear sisters, a leading management advisory consulting firm that specializes in human resources. It's centered around empathy-driven and heart-led solutions. And this is what I love about my sis. She's very much that empathy and heart when she works with others. With Danielle, we ensure compliance with regulatory requirements while fostering a culture of trust and workplace excellence. They know their stuff. They know how to get manuals, if you're looking at manuals, what the rules are, what the regs are. So check them out. See what they're doing. This was our most recent anthology for Sis and I. Against the Grain, Finding Belonging in a World of Resistance, and we take turns. So this one, I was the publisher. Sis published the previous one, Rebel with a Cause. I published the one before that, Moving Beyond Boxes, and CJ published the first one last year, which was Beyond Boundaries, Thriving in Life's Gray Zone. And for every one of these, whatever we make when the books are published, whatever we make on the books, we turn around and give back to the community. So Beyond Boundaries, it went to planting trees in Madagascar, which also checked off five of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. For Moving Beyond Boxes, that became trees in Honduras. Same thing. For Rebel with a Cause, those proceeds went to mental health. And it all revolves around a story of one of our authors who we lost before we got started. And we dedicated that book to her. And then Against the Grain, this one is going to Agape, confronting domestic violence. And you can see Agape on this picture. She's right there in the middle, right next to Mike. That's Mike from Hounds of Business. So that's, and right now, we are in the midst of writing this one. Our first one this year is Chronicles of Scattered Pages, Stories from Everywhere. It will be coming out soon this month. And this one, all of our books have had a theme. This will be the first one without a theme. 2,000 words. The authors get to write whatever they want. There's going to be poetry. There's going to be stories that you just sit there and go, wow. And all the stories are between 1,000 to 2,000 words. We're also in the middle of this academic paper. So we have a number of authors that are now in the midst of putting their problem statements together and doing this under the leadership of CJ. And again, the only ones she'd allowed in this were masters and then Doctor of Business or a PhD in any discipline. And it is a wild process learning how to do a 5,000 to 10,000 page research paper for this kind of academic. So it's been a lot of fun with what we have. And speaking of, my dear sister is out there, always out there. But I'm going to bring up Deborah. And it's so great to see you.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on to your beautiful show. It's been a pleasure getting to know you over the past couple of weeks.
Oh, it goes from here too. It's been just getting to know you and your calm demeanor in everything. Because that's I'm one who I can go fast, I can go slow. I know CJ takes off. You're you're fairly steady and calm. You remind me of a couple others um, in our group, like April Wyatt. She's always got that calm, steady demeanor. So
Well, thank you. I take that as a compliment. But beneath the calm of the sea, there's lots of turbulence I'm navigating.
I don't doubt it. I know what it's like. Even when I get into the slower mode, it's still doing that. It's I don't think I have the 25 me's in my head that CJ has of her in her head going on, but yes, I know what that's like.
She is a massive spinning wheel for sure. We love that woman.
Oh, I I keep telling her I don't know where I'd be right now without her in my life. It just
Oh,
with the things that I've gone through, everything she knows about, and she knows everything because it's like I don't hold anything back from her. That's when I talk about belonging and we talk about empowering women. That is
mm,
having that core where you've got another woman that you can say anything to, and you know there's no judgment, you know
yes,
there's no competition.
yes,
It's all collaboration, and how can we do something together? How
correct.
can I help you? Um, Here's my phone number. Call me when you want, and she's the one that's helping me to break free from a life of always thinking I'm bothering others, always
Mm,
reading that in faces when that's not the case. It'll be the case in some, but it's like it's not the universal case. And just getting me beyond the box I've been stuck with for 50 years.
The beautiful thing is that you hold the key, and the you know the part around us surrounding ourselves with other women that are have first of all looked in the mirror and are doing their own work, and then secondly, have that ability to be able to support another while they're continuing to build their life. It comes down to that collaboration over competition, which is really the only principle in, it's like an umbrella principle in everything that we do. When things get competitive, we're comparing. We're getting boxed in. There's projections happening. There's judgment happening. There's a pace that maybe would create burnout for us. When we collaborate, it's like we're rowing our boat gently down the stream with a lot of other like-minded souls that keep us on task,
Mhm.
and having an accountability, not just one, but having more than one accountability partner is important. So,
Yeah, and for many, once you've got that accountability partner, it's a new thing. So you're trying to figure this one out too, because with CJ, she's definitely younger than me, but there are also times it's like I'm looking up to her because she's teaching me things that I never got to learn over a lifetime.
it's wonderful. You can accelerate, as opposed to taking the long way around. Women of wisdom, no matter how they show up, demographics has nothing to do with it. It's the embodiment of wisdom and the work that one person has done to serve themselves so they can serve the many.
Yeah, and so what I want to do is give everybody a chance to know who is Deborah and what you want to say.
Wow, that's a pregnant moment for sure. I think when I look at my life from where I started my career as a very young woman and my awareness of who I be on the planet, that's, I wouldn't recognize myself looking back. At a very early age, I was, knew that I wanted to. always be on a journey of becoming,
Mhm.
and that I wanted to make impact in the world, and that the people that I wanted to be in life with were not people that were unreachable or untouchable unless I was going to do my own work. So my career has been a constant, never ending commitment to leveling up, to coin the beautiful Dr. CJ Leland. In her business, it's leveling up is the most important thing we can do. um, you know 20, 30, 40 years into my business, it's been, I've reinvented myself a million times. That's why I feel so great being here as a butterfly. I always say that when I go into the chrysalis, and I go there often, when we have like a dark night of the soul, or we have a family member that is pulling us in a direction where we need to show up and maybe ease off the accelerator of our business and step back. And I've always known that that I want to navigate my own journey. So,
Mhm.
I'm a solopreneur. I love to work with specifically women and men that are on a self effacing journey themselves. But mostly, the impact that I like to make in the world is, it all starts with inner wellness and beauty. And so I have been a curator of uh, discovering the most efficacious blue ocean products that are streamlined in the world, and utilizing those, and through my own experiences share them. But I also have an equal love and passion for self education, personal business development, and any of the world class trends that are going on in the world. And so I support people through business development, life experiences, transformation, holding the tension of the opposite, moving to the next place in our lives. Business development. I've had a handful of multi-million dollar businesses that I've created over the years. I certainly am not a person that likes to draw a lot of attention to myself. I've kind of coined myself as quietly flamboyant. And so, I just really love to speak into lives that are ready to be spoken into, and get into that collaborative where we're all showing up. It's, you know, I've heard myself say, I'm no one's goddess guru. So for me, it's like I look to seek another person or people or groups or movement of people that are actually on the journey, taking full responsibility for what they're putting out into the world. And so that is where collaboration works well, is when we can come together, as two or more gathered in his name, a collaboration. We create that bigger energy. There's many mansions, in my, open the door, and the windows fly wide open. And I think, so that's sort of like, in a nutshell, the skinny version of how I show up now in the legacy years of my career. I've done many, many things, from owning brick and mortars to being in business development and leadership development. I've written curriculums and worked with people on 90-day plans to grow their businesses. And now I'm at a place where I am a creative force for good, and impact is really important. Every conversation that I have, I really want it to be, we walk away feeling more than how we met one another.
I like that. It's always bringing more, and quite frankly, it's lifting each other up
Mm-hmm.
in
Same.
in whatever ways are going to be the right ways.
Right. And they'll be revealed to us. we don't, when we enter into a conversation, that's what I love about your format being very organic, that we are the experts in who we are. We don't need to prepare. This is the world stage is ready for us. We've already been in a state of preparation, and every day is preparation. And so we can really meet people where they're at and go on a discovery. So that's where I really, my coaching background as an accredited business coach comes in really handy, in great communication and asking questions and then drilling down, like mining for those pearls of wisdom, that all of the answers are in us. We don't need to guide, we don't need to answer for anyone or give people directives. If we ask the correct questions, we can support other people in navigating their journey. And that's how collaboration works really well. An
Yeah.
aspect of it. Yes.
I like that because we need more of that. But I also like how I can hear the faith foundation in what you say because of what you've already said, and this is something that even with CJ and on her show over the past month, we've on Sunday nights we're keeping that as part of the show. And was it what last week we were focused on? We were putting out favorite Bible verses in terms of women,
I love that.
and I think she had one from Proverbs 31, which is the godly woman, and mine was I think it's Psalms 139, the one where it's like you formed me in my mother's womb. You knew me and everything about me before I ever existed.
Fearfully and wonderfully made.
Hmm. And that's how we are made. And I mean, if I take that a little bit further, when I talk about it now, it's like, yeah, we're made in His image, but I really think it's the soul that was made in His image, not
Hmm.
not the shell,
Yes.
because the soul is what keeps going. It's the shell goes away. We get a new shell somewhere along the line,
Yes.
but ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The shell isn't what people should be focused on. It's got to be, who are you at that authentic, preferably soul-hearted core.
Yeah. Your essence. And that is why, part of my um the the indivisible whole of who I be is the soul of beauty. To me, if that's where I would bring another C into the word of collaboration, not competition. It is about connection, deep connection, where two souls can actually share in exchanges where they create their own soulful language. That's a potent place to come from, and to know that you have the power to attract that in your life by creating, by becoming that. Like, we're always becoming. I always say, I love who I'm becoming, but I'm really excited about who we're going to become together.
I'm just making a quick note because of what you just said, and if I could spell on the no, it's my nails just keep getting in the way. That's all. Um, but what you said, the way I boiled it down is this way,
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
because that was the way. Once you added that that third C to it, it's like, where's the place that it fits?
Yes.
And I think that's it, is having that connection. And I like that because we need more connection. For too many of us, especially for a lot of us that have been
Oh,
dealing with boxes that we didn't even belong in, it becomes
yeah.
hard to have a connection. it becomes hard to make those connections to the point that you have that, as dear sis says, that soul-hearted connection, that being able to talk with somebody about what they're doing and sharing beyond the superficial. That's
Yeah.
really the way I see it. Because right now, this world is, we're wearing masks when we see each other, and that means we're being superficial in the conversation because we're
Mm.
afraid of somebody finding out our truth.
Mm. It's
Ever again.
interesting. I think that we have to be mindful of that not all of us are wearing masks. I took my mask off a long time ago and am really comfortable in my own skin. I'm aware that it does go on. At the same time, I think that in order for us to have that deep connection and have those soulful exchanges and to be, I think there's another part to that, is like we have to be open and vulnerable in order to be able to align with people that do have, all of those things lined up. We've done our own work, and so therefore we can show up for one another in authenticity without a mask. And knowing that, here's an interesting case in point. I was sitting with my son the other day. We were having a really deep conversation, and he looked at me and he said, Mom, I saw that judgment when you looked at me. And I said, May I clarify what the look was? And he said, Absolutely. I said, That look was concern, not judgment. Because the other person or people on the other side, depending on what their experiences are and what their transformational, dedication to their own evolution has been, they're only going to be able to absorb to the degree that they've grown and lost their mask. So when they're still uncertain of who they be, or they have jaded views of themselves, or there's self esteem issues, or they're just not, as they're not as dedicated to their own soul's evolution. I think that we have to be mindful and be able to hold space for them to transform.
Yeah, and I mean, I know exactly what CJ is talking about here too. We don't need just any connections. And I'm right there with CJ. It's like
Yeah. Oh,
soul-hearted,
me too.
the ones that really have that passion in what they're doing, and they're not they're not out there they're not out there competing and putting other people down. They're out there,
Right.
if they want to put somebody down, they keep their mouth shut.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Like to
that's the
me,
way it has to be. If
yeah.
if if like it's like we all have it. There's going to be people. It's like we got to stay away from that person, but that doesn't mean we talk about them. That doesn't mean it's just
No.
like when I talk belonging, you get it in a work environment or with friends. If you belong, that means you can drop the mask, but that doesn't mean that you're going to tell everybody everything about
No,
the mask.
please.
But
Please hold the mystery back.
yeah, it's like you don't have to. But if somebody finds out, you also have the right to say you can. You don't worry that somebody found out about whatever,
Mm,
overcame an addiction, a marital problem, whatever it was, and you're able to, um, if they do say something, it's like, I heard this about you, you can just say, whether it's true or not, it's really none of your business, or it
right.
doesn't concern you, or
Yeah,
however you can say it in a soft way, but a strong
sure.
way.
Disengaging the projection, I think you're right. It's like, how do you handle it? Do you take the ticket to ride? I say no, you don't. And I love, one of the feedback comments to something like that to shut it down is, oh, thank you for your feedback, or thank you, um, that's not something that I feel that I want to discuss. And so thank you.
Yeah,
But
it
no, thank you.
all depends on how it's coming to you, and
Correct.
that's a beautiful way. If yeah, being able to say that really is a nice quiet way to shut it down.
Right, exactly. And not offensive, and also not antagonistic, because I think higher level communicators, which I, aspire to be on a very regular basis. I'm always working on my communication skills. And it's not about getting caught in the muck and mire, down in the resistance, the negativity, the low level, dialogue that some people want to hook you into. And it behooves us to take the responsibility to know what our boundaries are around that, because it pulls us off of our trajectory, our blissful, joyful, creative energy, and nothing that is good comes from that. You cannot create anything good from negativity, or people who are naysayers, or people who want to talk about other people in a derogatory fashion. I always say I'm a solution oriented personality. To just get caught down in that downward spiral of what's not working, well, what can we do to shift that dynamic? And, if you really want what's over there, what you're discussing, the way you're discussing it will not get you there. It's going to be soul destructive.
Yeah, we don't need that soul destructive. We need
Mm.
soul hearted, soul lifting, soul
Yeah.
leveling up.
Soul leveling up. Absolutely. And that's why it's such a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, and yeah, there's so much around this that we can go down, um, because it is, as I was thinking about kind of where we were at, how we were talking some of that, and the importance of belonging, and even within the work environments now, but
Mhm.
within the work environment, that you can go in without the mask. Within a conference, you can go in without the mask. You don't worry about what others, because people are much more likely to connect with you without the mask than with. I'm tired of a superficial life, of superficial conversations.
Many people are. I love that. That's so good. I want to screenshot that.
Yeah, oh, definitely go for that, because she comes up with some of the best stuff.
She does. I don't want to mess with my screen in case something transpires, but that's good, CJ.
Yeah, I got a screenshot, so we'll
Great.
um but yeah, and then you're doing a number of different things. Uh,
Yes.
so are there any of that you kind of want to highlight a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I really believe in being a portfolio entrepreneur. We can have like the tapestry of all that is an expression of us, like CJ does and like you do in your, all of the things, your speaking, your books, your writing, your creative, your being in the forest and bringing us wonderful energy and perspectives on, I love that particular reel that you did the other day talking about, yes, I'm working, it's Saturday. I'm also unplugging and restoring. I love the rewords. So for me, I have interest in anything that is health related and beauty from the inside out. So soulful, exchanges as well as deep dives. When I surf the net, I'm looking for deep pearls of wisdom and people that that it reminds me of, and I love to, share perspectives with people that, maybe something that I hear really resonates with me about who they be, and I send them like maybe a Greg Braden, or I love deep theologian, um, spiritual perspectives on business. We talked about that earlier, before we went live, the importance of showing up as you are, as a spiritual preneur, not as this, you're in one lane, it's old school, it's very, you show up in a certain way, and you have a certain business approach. I really think that that's the piece that's lacking in the spiritual essence of a business. And so I have a line of products that I use. This is my go-to product. It's an elixir. It's um, has 80 clinical trials, 80 PubMed studies. I actually discovered that right after the pandemic, after the global staycation. Not a good terminology to use with a doctor. They find it quite offensive, and I actually had to back out of a conversation with my doctor when I was introducing this to her. She is quite excited about this product, but I use global staycation, and so I think it's being mindful of supporting people with enlightened language is part of who I be, how I show up, support people to make paradigm shifts, to be more of a embodiment of who they want to be in order to create the world that they want to create. So that's my business coaching aspect. And then I'm also involved with a social media education university platform that is the very first in the world of its type. And I know that, when we're looking for niche markets and vision for what is sustainable, I'm in two of the most progressive, sustainable businesses that person could be involved in. And that is, developing your brand and learning how do you show up and brand yourself authentically online and become educated. Dr. CJ Leland is one of our educators, and she's brilliant. I mean, she has two PhDs. She's living the social media world. She has it mastered and continues to level up and master it every day. She's phenomenal if you wanted to learn more about that. And I think people could also reach out to you as well, from what I understand this morning. But these are a few things that I do. I just really love aligning with other like minded souls that have a passion to want to make a difference. How do we make a difference? It starts with us, and then a community of people that want to fit together and create that tapestry that supports one another, shines light on one another, and really, at the end of the day, our health is our wealth. Without our health, and I see that, out there in the world with the people that I make impact, when I meet somebody who has, cognitive decline, or they, have, they're like the Tin Man, they're not walking very, upwardly mobile, and they're, having a lot of inflammation. If we can, manage that and be vital from the inside out and really stay in life, kind of take a progressive role in our own future, be hands on in our own future health, so that we don't end up with an autoimmune, or we can back out of an autoimmune. We can support ourselves in staying in life and creating a wonderful legacy, because now we're at a place in our lives. I mean, I'm in the latter part of my 60s, and I don't believe in, for myself, I personally don't want to intoxicate myself with any type of injections or fillers. I believe in our thoughts, what we put in our body, and how we treat ourselves and how we treat others is a big part of how we're going to shine bright in the world for many years to come. So I know it's a little more of an esoteric view, but as I said, I took my masks off a long time ago. For many years of my career, I was pushed to fit in a box, a
Hmm.
corporate box, showing up with a certain posture, more male, more my male archetype showing up. And I remember probably 30 years ago, I said, no, I'm going to let my femininity come through. I'm going to embrace both my masculine and feminine. And I'm going to show up as the best version of myself and be dedicated to that for the rest of my life. And therefore, hold my mirror up to other people that want to do the same. So I have a health and wellness beauty business. I have um, a, a business where I support other people in leveling and scaling their business through business development. And I also have a social media education platform that has won a global award for innovation.
I love it. And all of that too is like CJ, within everything that you were just saying too, when CJ put this up, it fit. Because it's love must be sincere. Hate what's evil, cling to what's good. Be devoted to one another in love, honor one another above yourselves. Romans 12:9 and 10.
Wow. Beautiful. CJ is just
Well, she
she's
also has a question for you.
sure.
How do you create sustainable friendships?
I believe that they're very organic through being discerning, through navigating conversations that you have with friends that maybe have been in your life for a season or a few seasons, not backing down with boundaries, helping support people or supporting people in changing their perspective and maybe not becoming complacent. I think that creating sustainable friendships is an evolution. Friends who grow together create a sustainable bedrock of future together.
I I can see that. Um, that sounds like what she and I are doing right now because it's very much growing together, and I love it. Uh,
Mm.
and there's so much energy, so many things going on out there, and it's just trying to pick one. And we've talked spiritual, we've talked practical in terms of business focus. Um, it's just I can think of so many different directions to go with this, and so I'm kind of going to give you the option of which direction would you like to drive.
Wow, that's a beautiful. I love that. It's sort of that premise when we're going for an interview, or the days when I used to go for interviews because I have been entrepreneurial most of my life. I've had a few corporate positions. I think it's like if you're the interviewer, that the interviewee is as much part of the navigation of the course of where you want to go. I think that a great conversation point would be how do we choose? How do we choose what is important? What is the priorities without getting caught and stuck into an overwhelming um, uh, type of energy that puts us in a state of inertia? Because sometimes when we see life as abundant and in flow,
Hmm.
we can that's a healthy place to come from. When we look at I've got all these things to do, my to-do list is never ending, and we walk in a room and we're like a gerbil on a wheel. We get up in the morning and we just don't know because we're so overwhelmed with our psyche in the way that we view what we have to do. So I think asking yourself powerful questions: who, what, when, where, how questions. You know, how can I show up for you today, Savannah, to make your day more robust, more, how can I take something for you and add value for your life today? Those are questions that we can ask ourselves. How can I stay in flow today? Who needs me? What kind of impact could I make in one person's life beyond my own? How can I take pauses in the day? How can I create an accomplishment list as opposed to a to-do list? What's the difference between those two energies, to do or accomplish? What are my highest priorities in accomplishment today?
Yeah, CJ's kind of answering that. She talks about choosing is sometimes hard, but she choose activities that give her peace and happiness.
Correct. I love that. It's like, the other day I was speaking with my son and I said, "How do you know if it's good for you?" And he said, "Well, I don't know, Mom." And I said, "You will find great peace around it. If you are confused, if you feel anxious, if it's triggering you, it's more than likely not good for you." Not to mistake that with, we must step out of our comfort zone. We must choose to do the uncomfortable in order to create the world that we envision. And I know that you're an expert at that. Dr. CJ is an expert in that. And I certainly am no stranger to that world of putting myself in an uncomfortable place so that I can become more and do more and have more. So, how do you do that?
I've for the longest time I just meandered through life, and what happened. It's only these past couple of years, really, when that's shifting and changing to be more focused, and quite frankly, more more beyond the boxes that have held me back in so many ways, to the point where I will say I'm more than the box that somebody would put me in, because they find out a sliver about me, and I'm way more than all of the boxes combined that I could be put in. But we have to get to that point to understand that we are more, and part of that is moving beyond the comfort zones, and sometimes that means you've got to have somebody in your life who can give you those loving nudges.
Yes, speak into your life, see the beauty in you. And another thing to just add to what you so beautifully expressed, it is up to us to let them.
Mhm.
When somebody is speaking poorly about someone, and I know people have spoken poorly about me because I know that I'm not your average variety, mainstream girl. I've always been kind of out there. And I think it's so important to understand projections, that when someone is wanting to make you feel less so they can feel more, that's never a formula for success. But
No.
there's some place inside of us that we must turn off, and that is that whatever you think of me is none of my business. That doesn't fit into the collaboration, connection. That fits into the or the competition, um, running someone down. Judgment is no place. There's no place for that in the new marketplace. None.
Yeah, we don't need that judgment, and having, for some in some cases, it's we can walk beyond those boundaries ourselves, but some of those boundaries are really hard to get past without that nudge. And I I mean, I can't help but keep pointing to a certain person here in
Oh, I
terms of
love
how
CJ.
much
LOL.
how much she has um, nudged me.
Mm,
Because when we went to Podfest, she asked me if I wanted to go to Podfest, and she knew I had trepidations about the trip and the journey and going to Orlando because that's where it was. And but when you have somebody who says they've got your back, and
mm,
you see in everything they say and do, they have your back. From the moment we met for the first time in real life in the San Diego airport to the moment we got back to that same airport, we were never apart.
wow.
We
Soul
did
friendship.
everything, and it's like there were a lot of things that I wouldn't have done on my own, and she just looks at me because she's there in the same room, she knows what I'm thinking, she's like, "Go do this." And and so it's like giving her the look of, "Really?" It's like, Just go. Just go."
The activation queen. She's got a new title. The activation queen.
So and then, of course, the wigs was another piece of it. But there's so much alignment between us in terms of what we want to do, how we wanna go through life, that
Yes.
it just makes it easier, and it's like, "Okay, I" she got me rolling because I just couldn't do it for most of my life. The idea of it just wasn't working. It just didn't I look at her as like, I don't I don't know how to do that. It doesn't make sense to me when it's really not that difficult, but sometimes you need that other person who,
Hmm.
as she says, doesn't take no for an answer.
I love that about you, CJ. No, it's like, yeah, it's like, why not? Why not you? Why not now? Why not, and it is about accountability and having the right soulful friend that can activate you, that does see you, does see your greatness, and can support you in navigating from your template because we're all unique individuals. In the way that we sort things out. I mean, I think that many of us have ADHD.
Yeah.
It's part of what we've also become through technology. Technology has a tendency to make us open up too many lanes in our brain and blow our circuits.
Mhm.
So I think it's really, really important. Don't forget the
Yeah, this was also on that Orlando trip. One day, it's nighttime, the mall was closing, outdoor premium outlet mall, and and so we're there, and she's like, "Okay, now go stand over there and pose." And she's getting me to
pose,
this is stuff
strike up pose.
I had never done before, and so I'm trying to do the stuff that she's telling me to do, and my knees at some points are kinda going, "Are you serious?"
I love it.
I turn 60 next month, so,
You're absolutely gorgeous and you're in your power years.
um, but she also had this question because I know we're getting towards the end of this, and this is important. How do we engage with you? Um, how do people find you? How the house.
Okay, how? I love that question. I always say that, instead of saying hello, our greeting should have been set up. Not that I'm shooting on anyone, because I don't believe in that. Is how? How do we sort this out? How do we figure it out? How do we move forward, and become great together? You can engage with me on LinkedIn under Deborah Jackson. You can find me there. I think you have you have me highlighted on this post on LinkedIn. I'm Deborah Jackson under Facebook. I'm Divinely Deborah under Instagram. I mean, I could drop my phone number in. What would you like?
Well, a lot of that's just what you're willing to do. But
Yeah.
it's like engaging too, I think because when she gave us that when she dropped that question, you were talking about how we engage with other people and how to make those connections.
Right.
So that
Okay.
that's also
So,
it came in. So I think that's a part of what she's asking too is
okay.
engaging with you in connections, making
Right.
connections.
Yeah, I think, to take it on that plane would be that we engage with one another, and I'll take it more on a global scale. How we engage is by reaching out with an authentic passion for who the person be on the other side. Do your homework, do some research, see where the alignment is, um, and send a beautiful message that has something to do with the person on the other side. Follow through. In a post, share somebody else's post that you align with their philosophies and their areas of expertise that fit into your global brand. Sharing conversations, asking, Susanna, who else do you know that I could have a robust conversation that maybe I could support in their business? We could collaborate together based on what you've learned about me now and what is yet to be revealed, because I mean, there's more to me than this hour. There's more to you than this hour. So I think there's lots of ways that we can engage. Be bold. There's magic in boldness. Um, CJ and I refired, reignited our relationship. I met her a couple years ago, and there was this connection, and then we kind of fell out. No one's, nobody, no reason why, but I had thought about her and I reconnected. But when I left her a message, it was sincere. I wasn't coming to spam her with anything. I was honoring her by speaking into her life and saying, I have something that I see you in the center of the motion picture because you are so extraordinary. So I think, being real, putting it in a voice text, putting it in a video text, and really, that will go a long way. And people will feel the tenor in your voice, the message and the word choices, and the authenticity of the unrehearsed, authentic, soul to soul invitation to connect.
I like that too because um, it's like CJ will say too. When you're gonna see somebody, when you even when you're doing references for somebody, do it on a Zoom, not on a phone call,
Yes.
because you're talking about authenticity, and this is kind of a sidestep of it. But I really like how she talks about this. Is you're making sure that the person that you see matches the photo that you've been given, especially if you're doing references and checking on somebody.
Yes.
So you get that, and you're talking about even in the audio message, you're hearing the voice, you're hearing how it goes, how it flows. Does it connect with you or not?
Mm, mm. Does it touch your heartstrings? Does it touch your soul strings? Um, I think those are key. Trusting our intuition, which is another completely butterfly experience of you know learning to trust and be guided by our instincts. Love you too, Dr. CJ.
Yeah, she is amazing. And I know we're at
Yes.
the hour, and as always, it just goes by so fast because we could just keep going. Um, and like you talk about the butterflies, and I mean that's why I came up with my signature emoji there with the butterfly, the eagle, and the second butterfly. Because that first one, that's you're breaking free from the chrysalis. You're being yourself. The eagle is like it's time to fly and soar. But then that last one, the way I'll leave it with this is because I love talking about that second butterfly, the butterfly effect, as
Mhm.
written by Ray Bradbury in his time travel short story, A Sound of Thunder. Where really what it comes down to is I know what I've gone through in life. And even if you told me I could go back and change something that would maybe seem to make my life better, it will change who I am now. And if I
Mhm.
can look in the mirror and love who I see now, why would I ever want to risk changing that? Because what it becomes could be worse, not better.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I will stick with the butterfly effect. And no, I'm not changing.
All roads lead to us, right? All roads lead to you.
It's the way it
Mhm.
should be. So
Yes.
it's great having you on, and I loved everybody that came in the comments.
Thank
Dear
you.
sis, who I know is getting ready to start her academic meeting now. Um, but yes, it was great, and
Thank you.
I definitely have to have you back. And
I would love that.
yeah, it would be wonderful. And I will see everybody else next week at this time because CJ and I kind of own Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at this time slot. Her live stream is tomorrow, and the TV show is on Thursday, 9 to 10 Pacific at noon Eastern. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, a
And
delight.
I loved it. Thank you so much. And I'll
Thank
see
you.
everybody next week. Bye.
Godspeed.